everybody, welcome to Saturday Mornings Outdoors. My name is Paul K, and it's that time of year again. We are back on the canal, beautiful Cape Cod Canal in Sandwich, Mass at this time, and we're going to start the Striper Quest series, so stay tuned, and we're going to start with some educational stuff about this Cape. So this video is going to be based on people that are going to come down to the canal to fish for the almighty striped bass and the other species that are inherent in the canal. And I'm going to take it to the basics as always, and it's going to include the first things to do once you come into town. You're either going to come into Sandwich or you're going to come into Bourne, and how to approach a strategy of fishing in the canal. I neglected to mention one of the major points. If you're coming from away, I'm on the Cape Cod side, so you either have to go over the Bourne Bridge or the Sagamore Bridge and run along the road that parallels the canal. I'm on the Cape Cod side, not the mainland side. That's where all these features are that I'm showing you. So after you have your campground site or your hotel room, wherever you've come down, the very first thing I would do, now I'm going to include addresses so you can put them right in your GPS, but this would be 60 Ed Moffat Drive in Sandwich, Mass. And it is the Cape Cod Canal Visitor Center, run by the Army Corps of Engineers and probably the town of Sandwich. And you'll be able to get some extremely useful stuff inside. And this is run by the Army Corps of Engineers. And there's two most valuable things you want to get out of here that are free. The first thing you ask for, just go in there right at the front desk. We're going to go in, I'll show you where. It's called the Cape Cod Canal Tide Table Chart. And if you're serious about fishing the canal, this is the Bible right here. This gives you the tides for the whole season of the year. It's going to show you the full moons and the new moons and when to fish. And we serious fishermen study this all winter long, trying to pick the best tides of the upcoming year. And they have them free. They're put out by the gracious Army Corps of Engineers every year. The second thing is very valuable, and they asked me to please mention that the amounts are limited on what they have of these, but these are a map of the named fishing holes in the canal. Just ask for the fishing holes in the canal, and so that map, and they'll supply you with this map. And what it is it names all the established fishing holes in the whole length of the canal. Now, the bait shops sell these maps. They're much more elaborate, and they give you more fishing information on, but they have them in here for free. If you're lucky, they might have printing copies. Be aware, though, that they said that they have limited copies of this map. And once again, Army Corps of Engineers, thank you very much. Now let's go inside and see what they have to. So this is where you'll find the tide table booklet, and like I said, they only have limited amounts of the printed, but these fine attendants will see if they have those in stock. Otherwise, you can get them at the bait shops. So inside the museum is going to have a full overview of how and why the canal was built historically, and many interesting displays. The history of the Cape Cod Canal, and it's a very interesting place to come into. And by the way, it's free of charge. One of the best displays that I always loved in here is the different types of knots used in nautical times. And it's pretty elaborate and it's actually very beautiful. This is a huge mural showing the fish that are available in the canal. Bluefish, striper, everything in the ocean swims through the canal at one point. I've seen whales breach through, all kinds of whales too, and pretty interesting. And of course, fishing is huge here at the canal, so they have a full-on display of all kinds of plugs that are very versatile in catching favorite species. Looking at that wall, it looks like it's mostly stripers, of course. a little display on lobstering, which is legal in the canal. You can lobster in there from the land. You've seen a few videos of guys lobstering in the canal. I'm going to go into the theater room, and I'm not going to speak because there's a show going on, but they have a pretty nice little theater where they show the history of the canal. And they literally have a full-scale patrol boat style, relatively old school, but I'm in the helm, and you can tromp around in this thing and see what it's actually like to be on an actual patrol boat that comes around. This very important display is the marine traffic control and how they navigate all the large ships that come through here and small ships. Every inch of it is under surveillance for safety purposes also, of course, and it's a quite sophisticated monitoring system that they have in the navigation and fitting the right ships and amount of ships coming through at the right time so that there's no hazards. So the most important takeaway from stopping here first is you want that tide table chart and the fishing map, and this will give you a beautiful overview and a wonderful setting of why and how the Cape Cod Canal exists. But like I say, you're after the tide table chart, and you're after the fishing hole map. So as long as you're here, before I recommend any other first stops, the museum is on the other side of the basin where the boats come in. The first stop for fishing you could possibly come is this Sandwich Recreation Area, very popular spot. Very popular spot to fish. It's somewhat like a jetty and somewhat like a pier. Comes out over the water. When the stripers are running, there's tons of people here. It's almost combat fishing. This is the equivalent of the railroad bridge on the other end. When it's busy here, it's wall to wall. But you can see the depth, pretty significant as it goes out into the canal. The only thing I don't like about here is unless you can fish here when you get a striper. You can either use a landing net, a hoop net, and you pull it up with a rope. Most guys just drag it over here, lead the fish over here, and then you have to run over to the rocks and pull the fish up in that way. And it's a little difficult when there's 800 people fishing here, but there's a reason why it's an extremely popular spot, because they catch tons of fish here. But it's the Sandwich Recreation Area. So giving you the honest truth, these are Sandwich, Sagamore, and Bourne. These are all high-end tourist towns. So if you're a fishing guy, and if you stop in any of these restaurants, some of the best seafood there is around, and you know, in this country, if not the world, is Boston and this area, Cape Cod. But bring your wallet. And same with, you know, I mean, you're going to go to McDonald's. These are all tourist areas. You're going to pay $9 for a hamburger that's worth about 33 cents. On the road leading out from the Sandwich Recreation Area back to the main highway, there's going to be a Stop and Shop. It's our local supermarket. Go in there and buy all the munchies you can eat all night long when you're night fishing or day fishing, whenever you're fishing. But that's how we locals do it. You know, if you're hungry, get your food at the supermarket. You know, get your junk stuff that you're gonna munch on through the night. And there's not too much reasonably priced food in this area. There's tons of every cuisine that you want or need, but bring your wallet. So if you have bottomless dollars, go there. But we generally buy our junk at Stop and Shop. Just trying to help. It's how the locals do. So this is the Bourne Recreation Area, and this gives you access to the access road. And not only that, of course, anywhere you see these these abutments that hold up the bridge, this is the Bourne Bridge. Either side of those is holes, great fishing. I'm considering doing all the named spots. I'm considering doing a video on each one of the spots to clue you in on how to fish them and where they're located. And so please stay tuned, like, and subscribe. But this is the Bourne recreational fishing area, and all along here is Stripe of Heaven. So at 265 Main Street in Buzzards Bay, I'm not sponsored by anyone, by the way. None of these, they're just places that I go to, and I have been going to for 45 years. So Red Top Sporting Goods, one of the premier fishing bait and tackle and marine stores probably in New England. This is world known, like Montauk and all up and down the East Coast. They have their best shops. The owner's name is AJ, and freshest bait, every kind of tackle you can imagine, custom rods, high-end rods and reels, middle rods and reels, low-end rods and reels, all kinds of fishing gear and everything. And once again, I'm not sponsored by anybody, but this would be your second spot. There are other bait shops in the area. These are the two main shops that everyone goes to. If you're fishing in the Bourne side of the canal, Red Top is the place to go. If you're fishing in the Sagamore side of the canal, Canal Bait and Tackle is the ones that I go to. And this particular shop here has the greatest sales. They're not overpriced, they're reasonable, and once again, I'm not sponsored. I just love this place. It's a fairly run, and AJ does a great job at it. Red Top Sporting Goods. So the third and final stop, if you're fishing the east end, which is Bourne and Sagamore, world-class tackle shop is the Canal Bait and Tackle. And if you go inside, the owner's name is Bruce, and he has everything you need to fish the canal. And he has custom rods just for the canal and all the custom baits, and he can give you all the fishing information that's needed to catch tons of fish. Been around forever. He's an old salt, and very worthwhile place to go. It's a wonderful place to stop if you're fishing the east end. So basically, hit the visitor center first, pick up your tide charts and your map of the fishing holes in the canal, hit one of the bait shops, either in the Bourne end, that would be Canal Bait, or the Red Top in Sagamore end. Get some grub. You know, you want to spend a whole day out here or many days out here, and pick your spot off the map, check the tides you want to fish, and go fishing. It's that simple, and you have just as much chance. The key to catching fish here, you got to keep doing it. That's all. On your first day, you might catch a 40 pounder, but the guys that catch fish week after week, it's just they put the time in. That's all. And look at the other fishermen, see how they're fishing, what they're using for bait. At each bait shop, they will give you intimate information to the day of what bait's running and what lures to use and so forth and so on. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And I hope this video helped you. If you check my other video, instructional video on fishing the Cape Cod Canal, I'll give all the basics on the gear. So between that video and this video, you should have no problem catching. And so I hope you found useful this absolute beginner tutorial, exactly what to do if you're coming down here for the first time. This is a world-class fishing spot. Monster fish of all kinds come out of here. Tons of people want to fish it, and this is the easiest way I know to explain how to get started. So first stop will be the visitor center, so you can pick up the Bible, the tide chart, and the map. Second stop, maybe the second or third stop, but the second stop is get some food, and then the third stop would be go to the local tackle shops and buy the gear, or and get your information for them to the day of what's running and what bait's running and so forth and like that, and then come on down and fish, and check the maps out, look at the tides, see which tides you want to fish, which are beneficial to you, time it so that the tide fits you on your vacation, and then also choose your gear, and then with the fishing map, choose the spot you want to fish. Simple as that. and then come down. The key really, everyone asks me, how do you get the stripers? How do you get the big stripers? How do you get a lot of the stripers? The more you do it, the better you get at it. Simple, just like anything else. You got to put the time in. You have to put the time in. Guys that are catching fish every week, they're putting the time in. And you can catch fish the first time down here. And you just have to also do studying the techniques that I'm trying to show you, and other guys, other videos are showing you, and be in the proper spot with the proper gear, and you will catch fish. It's just, you have to just continue to do it. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you can use and appreciate this video, especially the beginner guys, of course. And please show your love by liking and subscribing. It really helps the channel. Thank you so much for showing up and tuning in. My name is Paul K, and this has been Saturday Mornings Outdoors. All right, spot number one. So see the poles along the edges here, and this is called the access road on the canal, and that is a pole number 285. All right, so every 5 poles, the next pole will be 286, 287, 288, 289, 290. All right, every 5th pole is marked. All right, and that's how you mark precisely the spots. So our first spot this week, 285 to around between 285 and 290. This area is called Sandbank, and if you look on the map, it's called Sandbank, or we call it Backhoes, or something. You know, it's Sandbank is what it is. That's the official hole's name, and the reason why it's called that, and I picked this as the first one, it's great for beginners. If you're going to be bait fishing, it's all sand here. It goes down a pretty good ways too, and it's a beautiful view of, that's the Sagamore, and that's the railroad bridge down there, and I'm on the Cape Cod side. So at pole 285 to about 287 or 290, around that area, you'll feel it with your weights. It's all sand here, and hardly ever any snags. It's good at any tide, and there you go. This is the first one. Looking on the map, there's these access roads, there's no vehicles allowed. You can see the electric bikes or bicycles and all that. So if you got a bunch of gear, this is my Canal Cadillac. There's all kinds of contraptions. Cabela's and Bass Pro, they have wagons, and if you take everything like with the kitchen sink with you, like I do, and a lot of guys do, because you want to be prepared, or if you just have a rod, just carry it in your hand. But if you want to tote a lot of stuff, a picnic lunch and refreshment with you and all that, get some type of cart. Now that's the Sagamore Bridge, and a few episodes ago I showed you the Sagamore Recreation Area, and that's how you can access this road to here. You can park down there, and it's like a 5-minute walk to pole 285. So Sandbank, and that will be it. So welcome to the Canal spot section of this show, and we're at pole 265. Actually, it's 265 to 260 in that area, and you can't miss the feature of what this place is called, and it's called the Rips, and you can see them right there. And that's not even anything what it, that comes up to a standing wave during the moons. This is we're only on the second quarter, and you got this. So this is not a bait spot. This is a I mean, I'm assuming you could fish bait here, but you'd be much more successful if you threw lures in there, any kind of mid-water swimming lures, you know, swimming shads and all that stuff. And because basically the idea is this rip forms here, and the bait fish that are swimming up or down get all disorientated in the rips, and the stripers know that, and they just stage on either side of the rips and just have at it with them. Stripers, bluefish, anything that's feeding. And this is not to confuse with Pip's Rip, which is an extremely famous spot, and that's on the east end, across from the rec center, the recreation area. right near the jetties. And we'll cover that in another episode, but this is called the rips, simply the rips. And you can see the extent of it. So I would love to have and see an underwater drone picture of what causes that. It's not two currents colliding together, so there must be, the bottom must be rocky, and then it must come up with rocks, and the current hits that and it just builds up and over. And it's incredibly powerful. They are powerful. And the fish, of course, stripers, and all fish alive, or any creature alive, it's the most amount of protein for the least amount of energy expended. And so they congregate in these areas, rips everywhere, not just here, but anywhere in the ocean that there's rips, because that disorientates the bait fish and makes them a lot easier to catch. So 265 to 260, and you can't miss it. And I'm on the Cape Cod side. So, well, actually, you can fish it from the mainland side too, but you have a much easier to reach. You can see it almost comes right to shore, these rips. And it's a stretch, And like I say, in those moons, that's a standing wave. It's a full, strong rip that goes right across the canal. So there you have it. That's this week's canal spot lock, and we'll also wrap up this episode. All right, so this week's spot check. That's pole 275, 276, 277, all the way out to 230, and this is called Gallows. It's Gallows Skating Rink. The skating rink up the road there, on the up on the main road, and that's why it's called Gallows. This is right next to Sandbanks. I told you about Sandbanks a week or two ago, which is all sandy. Well, this is all rocky, and a very popular spot. Most of the time it's open, but when there's fish here aplenty, there's a lot of fishermen here because it's easy access. And that is the Bourne Bridge. I am on the Cape Cod side, so most of these for the next few weeks are going to be on the Cape Cod side just because it's easier. That's where I'm fishing. So Bourne Bridge, Railroad Bridge, Sandbank, Gallows. This is Gallows, and all rocky here, really deep, wide open. You can't snag nothing, and very popular spot. And a lot of topwater action here when you get breaking tides in the morning or the evening, when the low tides coincide with morning and evening, and that's called breaking tides. And the fish are more apt to push bait up on the top and feed on the top. We call those breaking tides, and this is a really good breaking tide spot. It's good for everything, but that's what a lot of guys know this as. And so that's this week. All right, so this isn't spot lock yet, but this is just a contour thing that really useful on the canal. See how the line, the where the water meets the land, and there's certain area where points jut out. Well, when the tide gets lower, there are certain areas on the canal that there's points that go way out, and they're extremely desirable, and guys try to race to them. Once you get to them, because you can walk out, you can get out 30, 40 feet into the canal without getting your feet wet, and thereby giving you more casting distance. And you can see by the features how the points are where there's more apt to be. This is high tide now, but where the points are apt to be when you see prominent little points coming out like that. So when you come back at a low tide, you'll really see them, and then mark the pole down. That's it. That's how we do it. You mark the pole down. You get a book and you get all your numbers going. You mark those poles down where that point, and write fishing point or clamshell point, or whatever you want to call it. Also, remember, I had mentioned this a couple times, but it's very subtle. See, there's paths that are worn here as you go along, and there's just paths for no apparent reason. There's a reason why those paths are there. There's something down there that's attractive to fishermen, and it's either a hole or a point or there's some feature that guys are fishing at regularly, and it's a very subtle thing. That took me a long time to learn here, but as you walk along the canal access road, you'll see these, and you'll do well to keep those numbers. So this week's spot lock is the Bourne Recreation Area, and they're at pole 310 if you're going by poles, but it's easy to access this area, this recreation area, because it's right below the Bourne Bridge. You can't miss the Bourne Bridge. If you look for the at the base of the Bourne Bridge, traveling along the roads along the canal on the Cape Cod side, you'll see the signs for the Bourne Recreation Area. And this is like your gateway to the canal because it leads you plenty of ample parking here. There's restrooms, and they have functions up in there every now and then. And there's access to the road that goes the whole length of the canal on the Cape Cod side. So this is the Bourne Recreation Area. And for fishing anywhere along through here, along the abutments, whatever side the tide is, so the tide's running east, if you fish on the opposite side of whatever side the tide is running, there's holes on both sides, but the fish are going to hang out in front of that. Because the current's going this way, the fish are going to hang out on that side and just dart out at stuff that's drifting by. And then conversely, when the tide's heading west, go along that way. And that goes for any abutments and any bridge anywhere with any kind of cranking current like this. Also, at nighttime, fantastic spot. There's shadows here, and the stripers are going to be in the shadows, right along that shadow line, and that goes for anywhere else that you're fishing in the salt water. You fish that shadow line, right along that shadow line, the stripers are hanging out, and they're waiting to ambush bait that's coming through in any direction, but they like to hide in the shadows. So work the shadow lines, work both sides of this here, and you'll do well. And you'll also access this the access road. Now, remember I was talking about points, prominent points? There's one right there. If you look at the tip of my finger, you can even see the rock sticking out, but at low tide, that goes way out. And you know, you got 30 feet, 40 feet, so you can cast out further. So they're features that are good to look for and make fishing easier and more successful for you. So I hope you'll like this. And fish on. You got up. So this week's spot lock is pole 320. I don't know if there's a name for this, but if you remember last week, I was at the base of the Bourne Bridge, and that rock, that outcropping, this is an extremely popular spot because you can gain full-on distance. I'd say that's probably 30 feet. You can see where that disturbed water is, that's where the boulder is, but this point comes out here, and at low tide, especially the moon tides, the full moon and the new moon tides, you can really get out there. But everyone knows about this spot, but you gain that extra distance by fishing off these rocks here. And it's between the bridge and the next stop up is Lobster Pound. So it's 320, that's the pole, 320. And that's this week's spot lock. And it's a killer spot, man. If you're here early in the morning, or you're just lucky and you happen to get it, you'll stay there all the time because it's worth it. And once again, I'd like to thank you guys for coming. Welcome to the spot check portion of this week. And this is pole 355. And this is the infamous Aptuxet trading post. Been there since 1627. Very historical site in there. But more importantly to us, it's the fishing spot. and it's massive. And I don't want to hear from anybody that there's too many crowds and there's nowhere else to go. There's 7 miles here, and it's so, that's all I can say is there's plenty. You just don't know. You have to come here, and don't go to the really ultra popular places like the railroad bridge on this end and the jetties on the other end, and all in the middle there's much less people. So the special feature about this spot is the type of riprap. I was going to say riffraff, but as you can see, there's spots you can cast right there. There's a nice flat stone you can work your way out on, and there's all kind of structure down here, and there's holes, and how you find the holes is basically cast a heavy weight out there and do countdowns. 6 seconds, 6 seconds, 6 seconds, 6 seconds, 6 seconds. When you hit 10 seconds on the drop, after 4 or 5 casts, that's a hole. And you write it down in your book, get the pole number, and that's how you do it. So extremely beautiful, picturesque spot here, and the fishing opportunity. This is a famous spot. It's a pretty good fishing spot here. There always seems to be bait moving along through here. So Eptuxet, and it's pole number 355. And that will be this week's edition of Striper Quest. And I hope ain't nothing to do but go sailing. What a wonderful life. I think I'll take the yacht today. Alright, this is this week's spot check. I'd like you to meet Miss Denise's sister. Just happens to be a lawn ornament. Arg matey, a pirate wench. But we are at pretty much the end of the line on the Cape Cod side. It's pole 380, and it's the infamous railroad bridge. And this area is an absolute fish magnet. But I want you guys to know that a lot of guys are asking about really quiet spots to fish. If you've noticed, I've gone halfway on the Cape Cod side down, and I've moved in the westerly direction till you can't go no further, and it's absolutely quiet spots, except for here. This here, I'm going to put it very bluntly to you. Over the years, people get shot here, they get stabbed here, but they catch probably more fish. This is the west entrance to the Cape Cod Canal. So the bass are all in Buzzards Bay out here, and they get bait pushed into the opening of the canal there, and it's an extremely popular fishy spot. So don't let the shooting and the stabbing stuff scare you away. That's like extremely rare, but it gets so packed in here when there's fish. Stuff's gonna happen, and people get rowdy, and men are men, boys will be boys. If the boys want to fight, you gotta let them. So the infamous railroad bridge. Now, where that guy is with the bucket in that area, that's called the flats. And in the early spring, sometimes flounder will get up in there because it's very shallow in there, and it warms up earlier than most areas, so it's a good flounder spot. And another thing guys do, brave guys do, there's a point out here, believe it or not. And this, I would not recommend this. I'm gonna disclaim this, but I'll tell you just what guys do. And that is, there's a point that goes out here, and you can wade out pretty far, but if you reach that edge and that current's cranking, you're going for a swim, and it's not gonna be easy for them to pull you out. So, but this is it. Now I'm going to start working on the other end of the canal, and we've reached the west end, and this is pole 380, the infamous railroad bridge on the Cape Cod side. Now, looking back on these episodes, all you have to simply do is look at episode 1 and get that map and match those pole numbers up with the numbers I give you each week. And it's a very simple process. You need the map. You need the map, unless you have basic knowledge of this area. But newcomers, you need that map, and just match the numbers up, and you shall catch fish in quiet areas like everyone suggested. So that would be it for this week. So Sandwich Road, and this is a jump in right here. See, some of them are easy, some of them ain't so easy, but they're all along Sandwich Road. And that's how we access without getting killed, usually. Usually. Sometimes they die. Check for hobos at the hobo crossing. And this one's wild, this bushwhack. It's not, none of them are bushwhacks. They're not, you're not cutting through brush. They're all got paths, but this one's just like a ski slope. It's pretty cool. And you just wind your way down, and here's the area I want to be. Going down's easy. Coming up's the challenge. But when you use these, because they're dotted all along, just when you enter the access road on the canal from these little bushwhacks, mark it, like blaze it like you're in the woods, you know, put a stone there or something, or a stick along the edge so you'll know where you came in, because there's a lot of these and a lot of them look alike, and you can remember the pole number, that's all. But see, we have the access road, and voila, here we are at the access road. Looks like he's got himself the prime fishing spot. Oh. That's good luck, I think. All right, we are at the first spot check. Look at this boat. I know I can. He's barely got enough. It's probably cost him $100 bucks a half hour to do that. Anyway, we're at pole 169, between pole 169, which is down here, the next pole, and 170. And this is a really good spot. This is called Striper Hole, and what it is you can see it's relatively shallow here. You wade out there on the lesser tides. I'm not recommending it, it's a disclaimer, but you're on your own. But there's a steep drop off and it goes straight down. And this is a well-known hole, very popular hole, and it's the stripers and blues and every other kind of fish push the bait up against the drop off there, and it's called Striper Hole. And there's thousands of holes all along through here, but these ones that I'm showing you are the predominant holes on the map that you can get at any of the bait shops or at the rec center. And there's a reason why they're on there, because they're notorious for being killer fishing spots over the years and decades and so forth. So this is what I'm showing you as the ones on the map. There's thousands of other secret holes, but you find those on your own, and that's what a lot of fishermen do. These are absolutely sufficient and worthwhile to check out, the holes that I'm showing you. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing it, but this is Striper Hole, and 170 and 169. You notice the feature along in here, the tide's going out right now, but it's leaving all this exposed, and there's certain areas that it really goes out, these points, and of course you can go out and fish on them. But another cool thing that we do, under almost every one of these rocks are the Asian crab and the green crab. They're little crabs that big. Got to be quick, they're fast, but it might take you probably, I don't know, half an hour, and you can get 15 or 30 of them, and it's tautog fishing. And all along through here. It's gonna, which leads me up to the segue of the next hole. But under every one of these rocks, just flip them over. As soon as you lift it up, you'll see the little Asian crabs or the green crabs, and that's for tautog fish. And our second hole of the day, it's 175 and 176. That's 175. That's pole 176. And this special hole, it's called tautog hole or blackfish hole, and this has been around, extremely popular. And it's the same setup as Striper Hole, where it gets shallow here, but then it just drops off. But the difference is, here it's all boulders down there. It's serious boulders, which blackfish and of course striped bass love. Not just saying you'll only catch blackfish here, but this is where you catch blackfish, as opposed to other areas that don't have the feature of so much boulders. But so that's why I had mentioned the green crabs. They're Asian crabs, the majority of them. You flip over these rocks, you fill up a bucket, and you learn the rigs of those. Maybe sometime I'll do a video on those, the tautog here. But some of the best eaten fish in the ocean, besides black sea bass, are the tautog. And that's what this is. This is Blackfish Tautog Hole, pole 175 and 176. And welcome to Spot Check. And this portion of the show, each week I'm trying to show you infamous fishing holes along the Cape Cod Canal and the fishing tips that go along with them. And all the info can be found on the maps of the Cape Cod Canal. And This one is one of my favorites on the canal. I have a few favorites. This is one of them. It's pole 155, and this is the infamous Portuguese hole. That's what it's called. It's called that on all the maps. I don't know why they called it. Well, I kind of know why they called it Portuguese hole, because I'm a Polak. It's not called Polak hole. It's not called Irish hole. Portuguese people happen to be, in my opinion, the best fishermen on this planet. If you go to New Bedford, Fall River, up in the North Shore, Gloucester, they are all Portuguese. All the billion-dollar industry boat owners, they're all Portuguese. For thousands of years, the best navigators on the planet, you know, discovering and making discoveries about our ocean and so forth. So, rightfully so, they should have a whole name for them. I just think that at one point, when the name started getting established on the canal, a lot of Portuguese hung around on this particular spot. But I have caught many stripers here at this spot, and it's one of my favorites. Extremely deep drop off, and I have seen stripers pushing bait fish up against the drop off, and you literally watch them doing it on a blitz. And I think the reason is because it's so steep here, and but hardly ever open this hole. This hole is hardly ever open, and it's what I mean is there's always fishermen here at this hole. You can tell it by that spectacular mansion. That's one of the landmarks, and there's a radar tower right there. So this is one of the best spots you can fish on this side of the canal. One of probably about 5 or 10 that are extremely legendary. And it's pole 155, and it's called Portuguese Hole. So I guess that'll wrap it too, you bastards. No, but on a serious note, so if you're from away, or if you're coming down here and you're not an experienced fisherman, I mention all the time during the summertime the best bites are at night. I'm here before dawn usually, and I've been doing this my whole life, and you see there is danger here. These rocks, I mean, you know, you can have the best equipment on the planet, but you're gonna fall. It's part of it. And if you're coming at nighttime, especially alone, which is not a problem, but don't attempt to go at nighttime. You see, this is daylight, and you know, stuff like that can happen. Just as you see it with your own eyes, the hazards that are here. It's fun. It normally doesn't happen. It'll happen once every 100 or 200 trips, and but it's part of fishing. But at nighttime, you can get seriously in trouble here. If you fall in that water and that water's cranking like it is, if you fall right here out 5 or 10 feet, you'll not a problem. But if you fall away and that current's cranking, you're going down that way somehow. And if you're hurt badly, you're gonna have issues. You're gonna have big problems. So, and it'll be nighttime. So, bottom line is, it's not ultra dangerous here, but there is danger here. So it's, you know, daytime it's not a problem. Very rarely will you slip and fall like that, but at nighttime, make sure you're an experienced surf fisherman that is used to fishing on rocks at night before you venture down here. Don't even think about coming down here your first 15 times at nighttime, because that's what you got to deal with. It's not rocket science. You can figure it out. You will figure it out the first time you venture onto those rocks. It's part of the hazard of fishing along the canal, but the rewards are well worth it. As you see, show after show after show. Don't let that deter you. You know, it's not that dangerous. It's just that it can happen, that stuff. So, just like anything else, you can get out of bed and trip and fall and break your arm, or you can, you know, a million ways to die. So, actually, to be honest with you, one of the coolest ways to die would be right here on the canal. That's probably the best you could hope for, and you'd go quick like that. Other than suffering in a hotel room or a hospital room somewhere for 8 months, you know, a poop factory. So if we got to go, you might as well go out in a blaze of flame. So we'll see you at Spot Check, and thanks for showing up, and see ya. Wonder what's going on here. So that's the police. This boat's slowing down. I don't know, for some reason he wants the boat to, I don't know, he's just stopped there with his lights on. Maybe there's a whale or something, who knows. Oh, there's a blitz right here, but the cops are there. I'm wondering if it's a whale, because they'll make sure the whale has right of way or something. But You know, I think you're supposed to say 500 yards or from any whale or something. It might be there's some type of aquatic creature that he's protecting. I don't see nothing. Alright folks, welcome to this week's spot check. And we do this every week for visitors and people that just want to learn the canal. You go to the visitor center at either end of the canal and they'll give you a free fishing map, or you can go to Red Top Sporting Goods and or Canal Bait and Tackle and they'll sell you a really good fishing map. And you follow along. There's poles along here. They're all numbered, and you match the poles with the numbers, and those where the holes are, the good fishing spots. Before I get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to a really heck of a nice guy. His name is Len Dog. And good luck with the fantasy football. And we were talking in one of the parking lots about the upcoming or the season that fishing that we had, and he's a heck of a nice guy. And just like to say hi to you, bro, and hope you caught some fish today. All right, so we are at pole 140. All right, and of course this is the Sagamore Bridge, and just like the Bourne Bridge, on either side of these pylons the tides have worn out holes on that side here and on that side there behind those trees. So depending upon what tide it is, like the tide is heading east, you would fish here in this hole. The fish are staging head into the current, right? And bait or whatever is going to be drifting by, and they just dash out, just like in a stream, like stream fishing. And that is, if you can't catch fish here, you don't know what you're doing, man. I mean, these fully structured and very easy to fish, and always has fish here. And if you're here at night, a huge tip for any of these bridges is the shadow line. So whatever the light, the ambient light, if there's a moon and light from the canal along these canal, there's lights here that shines into the water, you'll see a line, just like looking at my fishing in shadow. There's the shadow line, then there's daylight. The fish wait right along in the shadows on the edge, and the bait fish that swim by, the fish just dash out, grab the bait, and get back in the shadows. It's a great ambush point. Well, that's what they do along here. You can see somewhat subtly the shadows on the pylon, but that transfers into the water, especially at night, especially a moonlit night, and especially where there's lights that are shining on the water, and it's a killer fish spot. And that goes for any bridge anywhere too. And there's other areas, Hull Gut on their fishing pier, that's the same way at night, and they specifically put lights on a lot of these piers to create those shadow lines and attract bait, and the fish do hide in those lines. So this is a obvious spot to fish, and it's pole 140, the Sagamore Bridge, and that would be it for this week's spot check. All right, welcome to spot check. This week's spot check, we're going to try to get off 3. That's where we ended up last week, at the Sagamore Bridge, and I explained about that. Next one up the line, what we're doing is you get the map either from Canal Bait and Tackle or Red Top Sporting Goods, or you can go to the Visitor Center and get the free one. And along the canal are these poles, and they're marked. And you look on the map, and I'll give you the numbers where the holes are on them. You'll see where the holes are on the map. They're designated. But I'm showing you in physicality how to get here and so forth and so on. So this is pole 115. This is a very popular spot, very quiet stretch called Grossman's. As you can see, it's very steep here. So the old school way we used to do it in this area was we used to have grappling hooks on our rope, and you could snag the fish, but nowadays we release a lot of fish, and you'll have to walk down to where it's more flat over there to land them. But this is a very popular spot. Grossman's, you'll see in a lot of the fish reports this mentioned, and pole 115. As we're moving along to the next spot, you'll notice this is an extremely straight stretch here, straight up, and at low tides you'll see little jetties, little points of land that pop out because it's low tide and you get out there, and but a lot of deepness here, very deep. There's a lot of deep holes. Ron Ara said the area where it's 700 feet wide is along up in this area. I really shouldn't do this, but I'm going to give you one of the pro local tips, and I'm not recommending it, but you might stumble upon it. But once you become familiar with the canal, but you guys stuck with me so far, I'll give you this one. So as you're riding along Sandwich Road, parallel with the canal, if you take a right on a street called Pleasant Street, Sandwich Road goes like this, Pleasant Street loops in like that, and you can park right. You shouldn't, I don't think it's allowed to get, it's all posted there for, I believe this is a place of business, but guys park there. But use it at your own discretion. I'm parked there, but I don't know if I should be or not, but I always have, and no one said anything. So Sandwich Road, Pleasant Street will get you in the pole 110 to 115 area very easily. No bushwhacking. Which brings us to the next famous cool spot. It's pole 110, right? 5 poles down from 115. So this is a fishy area. Oh, look at that. It's an unusual looking sail apparatus. This is called lumber yards. You'll hear it mentioned a lot in some of the local fishing reports. Lumberyard. It's right next to Grossman's, pole 110. Once again, very deep here, and low tides. It's got the prominent points sticking out here, but what's attractive to the fish is the drop-offs are very deep, up real close to the bank, which makes it an ideal fishing spot because they push bait fish up along the steep edges of it. 110 is lumber yards. Remember the little tip I give you about the little trails? Look at, all right, it's right here at 110 lumber yard, and it's telling you that's a good fishing spot. Keep your eyes. Well, that's beautiful, isn't it? It looks like something from China. Notice how she shallows out right here, then it just drops straight down. You can see the drop off. You know, you can just see it. See the with the sunshine, you can see the rocks, and then it just goes down, and that's what makes it appealing. Here you can obviously wade out, and at low tide, that's what I'm telling you. You keep your eyes open, you'll see spots like this, which gives you more distance for casting. You know, at low tide you can walk out there without getting wet and cast really far across the canal. By the way, looking through, you know, I mean, before I started this series, one of the reasons why I started this series was people were saying, where are the spots? There's too many people. You know, I want peace and quiet and everything. This is exactly the point I'm trying to make. It's just stunningly gorgeous through here. The whole 7 miles, and there's all time, but people don't believe me until you show them. It's all the peace in the world you can have. And I'm giving you the information where to fish, so you don't have to be around the crowds and the shootings and the stabbings and so forth. I shouldn't have said that. It's not common at all, but it has happened here. And it's not a rowdy place, and most people get along fine, and there's a great camaraderie once you learn the protocol here. But there's tons of peace here. You can be alone for all years and never fish near other fishermen because it's 7 miles on each side. All right, so this one's an interesting spot. So this is pole 105. That's pole 106. and that's pole 104. All right, so 104, 105, 106. This is called Bluefish Hole. And I don't know, I don't have much experience with this hole. It's on the map, and I hear it mentioned a lot in the reports. Apparently there's some type of feature that the bluefish trap bait in here. So this is Bluefish Hole, 104, 105, and 106. Alright, welcome to this week's spot check. And just something to notice. See there, that's a crab shell. And as I walk along, there's crab shells. And you might be thinking, what in the world are those things doing up here? And I'm seeing them all along through here. So at the low tide stage, of course, the cormorants and the seagulls are pulling the crabs, and especially this is stormy right here. It's a big storm and currents cranking, so they're pulling at low tide the crabs, which are disorientated and from the high moon currents up on the shore, and they're eating them. And here's another one. See, they just keep coming. Here, there's a clam. No, that's a part of a shell, a part of a claw. Another one. But so bear in mind, that's bait. I mean, not bait to use. You could use it, but there's crabs there and there's life there, which means there's going to be fish feeding on that. So always keeping your eyes open. Just like on a stream, you're looking for hatches when you're trout fishing and stuff, and let nature's telling you where the food is or where the food has been and where the good fishing spots are. There's a reason them cormorants and birds are here. Look at the family takes a right. Look at them all. Big maggots. Alright then, we are at the first spot check of this week. Remember, you're getting the maps from one of the local tackle shops, Red Top or Canal Bait and Tackle. On the maps shows the 7-mile long canal, and along the canal are these poles, and each pole there's a marker like that says 85. The next one down is 80, but there's 5 poles in between. It's for navigational purposes. For our fishing use, the holes on the map are named, and I'm showing you them in person along the canal here, and what to expect and what I know of how to fish each one and so forth. And so that's how this spot check has been going all summer long, and that's what I'm trying to do for you guys. So this is pole 85. This is called sandbar. And why do you think it's called sandbar? Because there's a sandbar at low, and you can get way out there. And fish push at this stage of the tide, which is getting up pretty high. They're pushing bait up against both sides of that sandbar at times. So this spot is called sandbar, and that's pole 85. Also, kind of a noteworthy thing right here is, I believe this absolutely right in this area is the area that Ron Ara, the world distance casting champion, was speaking of, where the canal is about 700 feet wide. This is the widest area of the canal right here, and this is where he literally cast from this side and landed it on the other side. Can you imagine? You know, but mere mortals would be grateful to God to get 3/4 of the way across. But that's why he am the champ. But this is the first spot check, pole 85. So over here is, right there is the Sandwich Fish Pier, open to the public. That's actually a state park. You probably have to pay to park there unless you have the pass. And you buy a lifelong pass, especially if you're a senior citizen. If you're over, I don't know, 55 or 60 or something, you buy this pass for light money and go to any state park in the state for free, all day, all year, for the rest of your life. But anyway, it's a sneak preview. That's on the mainland side. Oh, by the way, I'm on the Cape Cod side. This whole summer, all these spots are on the Cape Cod side of the canal. That's the mainland side, but that's a very popular fishing spot. Nice fish pier built specifically for fishing. That's a preview of next year. I'll cover all that next year. Alright, so spot check number 2. This is pole 70. What we're really after is that next pole, 71. It's in between here. This is called Bianco's. Extremely popular spot. It's named after an old restaurant that was off of Sandwich Road, but if you notice, we've been coming down here, it's a dead straightaway, but now it's going to open up into a large basin, and there's turns again. Back that way there was turns. Anyway you see these turns and points, they're extremely fishy areas. So this happens to be one of them. You're coming into the turn up here near the power plant, and it's called Bianco's, and it's probably in every fishing report every week locally all the time. So another key way to find out is you're right across from the public fishing pier on the mainland side. So pole 71, and it's Bianco's. So we're coming from our super long stretch, but see, point, see how it goes in? All up in there, that basin, right over there, point. Anyway you see those points, the fish are going to be absolutely trapping and staging for the surf fishing. So this is the infamous power plant on the Cape Cod, and here, there's 3 of them. There's 2 other tanks in back of that. Those are called the holding tanks, all right? And then the holding tanks are about 63 is the holding tanks, pole 63. And as you can see, point, cove, and this is pole 60. The next pole is 59, and this is another world famous spot. It's called Patty Gribbins. Apparently some notable famous Irishman fished here forever and ever and ever, and he got the spot named after him. I don't know exactly the historical reason why, but this is a very cool spot to fish because, well, first of all, technically, I don't think it's, I'm pretty sure it's not legal to go on that, but people do. I'm not recommending anything, but you can see gates there. They're always closed, but at nighttime they circumnavigate them and they just walk along here. But what makes this a very interesting, really famous spot to fish is the inflow and outflow to that power plant to cool the generators. And the one you want to be interested in is the outflow, because that's going to be warmer water than the surrounding water that's in the canal. Any power plant will have that. So it's up to you to figure out which one. It's not rocket science. Whichever one the current is flowing out, that's your outflow. And it's going to attract bait fish, and fish are going to normally gravitate towards that in the colder months. Extremely popular spot here. Patty Gribbins. Even the fish know. You see there's hundreds of cormorants all through here, and seagulls. You know where the meat is. See, this is pole 45 and 44. Inflow, outflow. One of these is inflow and one is outflow. There's other ones down that way too. See, that wind is howling. So, last but not least, pole 50, and this is the infamous iconic power plant, and it's as famous as the Sagamore and the Bourne Bridge and the railroad bridge. It's as iconic as that. This is like a huge landmark on the canal. Once again, point, see, you got this cove, anywhere where those points, they're killer spots, and that's where that's why it's an iconic fishing spot. So that will be this week, 4 spot checks, and I hope you enjoyed this session. All right, all you canal rats, welcome to this week's spot check. We are coming to the bitter end, and I mean the whole end of the canal, and this is pretty funny to me. No swimming, no scuba diving, no hunting, no nothing, go home. Like on the Stooges. But so this is pole 10 basically. That's what they claim it is on the map. This is called Murphy's Beach. Murphy's Beach. And all through here, once again, you see a nice cove here, the trap, and this big, good fishing spot right in here alone, just for surf fishing. And then the final is the jetty, of course. It's the last stop on the Cape Cod Canal on the Cape Cod side. And the fishing jetty, the prime spot, always, mostly on every jetty, is the very end. But the whole length of it, all kinds of, you get blackfish there, you get stripers, bluefish, every fish that swims. This is the entrance to the canal. So that way is north, that way is south. So you would think logically the migration is going to come from the north, make the bend, and then just cut down the canal that way. And that's the major route of the migration in the fall. In the spring, it's just the opposite. They come from up from Buzzards Bay, they come through the canal, coming east. This is east, and then they hang a left going north. They don't all hang a left, they go south this way. There's legendary fishing spots along the beaches through here, really world-class fishing spots. But this is the last stop on the canal, the veritable jetty, and there's two. There's one on each side. The purpose of these jetties along any canal is when we get nor'easters or the predominant currents, the jetties, the function of them by the Army Corps of Engineers or whoever built the jetties is to keep the mouth of the entrance of the canal open so that they don't have to dredge it every single year. They still have to dredge it, but these catch the sand coming from the predominant direction will be this way from northeast. That's where the current's going to come. It's sweeping the sand in. They still have to dredge it out, but that's the point. That's the purpose of jetties. In this type of situation is to block the sand from filling up the entrance of the canal and lessen the amount of times that they have to do it. And that way is England. That's east, and well, the other side of Cape Cod, but then past that is England. But there it is. We have covered from the railroad bridge in Buzzards Bay all the way to the very end. And I believe that this is the only complete series that has done this. There are a few guys that have shown spots, but this is the only series I think that has covered the whole canal completely from one end to the other on the Cape Cod side. I think I may, during the winter or at some point, edit just the spot checks and put them in numerical order so you can just watch it on one video, the spot checks. That might be a good idea. So next year we will concentrate. I still love fishing on the Cape Cod side. I'm not going to change that, but I'm going to cover all the spots on the mainland side. So beautiful, beautiful Cape Cod Canal at the jetty. And so, my fine fishy friends, we have come full circle. The whole summer we've covered the whole canal, and we've ended back up at the visitor center. And I just want to show you, I guess because of the amount of people asking for the fishing maps, they printed up a beautiful copy of it. These are what they look like, and if you go in there they ask them. The other ones were on cardboard, but these are fine, and you can see the names: Sandwich, Murphy's Beach, we were just there, Sandwich Marina, Bianco's, Patty Gribbons, and so forth and so on. So the idea with this series is, if you really want to utilize it for the greatest extent, go back to the first one. It's called Fish Like a Local, and it's go where that starts, and after every episode is a spot check. Every single, probably about 20 episodes, and it's showing these spots. So you pick a spot on this map, you come here to the visitor center and pick a spot on the map that you think you might want to fish. And then there's poles, these poles every 100 feet, I believe it is, and you match the number. See, this says for Bianco's pole 35, so you drive to the area where Bianco's is and park in the area, and then drop down into the service road into the canal and come to Bianco's just by the pole number 35, and then continue on to fish. Each description I've given is a pretty good description of the known fishing spots that are along the canal, from the railroad bridge on the west end all the way to the jetties on the east end. So I hope you can appreciate all this here. I had a ton of fun bringing this. Next year I think I'll begin to work on the mainland side, and then we'll have the complete collection for all you beginners or people that are just interested in the canal and want to know how to access it, and a little lore about each of the holes. So that's this week's edition of Saturday Mornings Outdoors, and my name is Paul K, and thank you so much for watching, man. You know I love you guys, and like and subscribe, very important for the channel, and had a ton of fun bringing this series to you. And we'll see you next week. And don't forget, say your prayers. See you. So I'm at Canal Bait and Tackle, and what I want to show you guys is the difference in quality. This is a real fishing map, and you can get them at Canal Bait and Tackle or Red Top Sporting Goods. And look at the difference. Just incredible detail. It's got the only difference between this map and the information I give is, see, these are just numbered, the spots. They name all the spots that I name in the series, but I give you the pole numbers, and that's what's on the video. I'm giving the pole numbers, and I'm explaining to you, but that's the difference, but extremely high. So, speaking of fishing like a local, one of the coolest things about Canal Bait and Tackle, if you check his website, right, I'm not sponsored by anybody, but he's got the most logical way to sell stuff. You can buy like packages of lures. Like these guys know the canal. They've been fishing it their whole lives. They live on the canal. I'm pretty sure they live on the canal. But it'll say like selection number 3, and they'll give you like 2 jigs, 2 middle lures, and 2 topwater lures. And they're proven lures. They're full on, like the best lures. Really, they're not just trying to get rid of lures and whatever they have lowest in stock. These are the best working lures for the time. And they have many selections like that. You know, like they have whole packages you can buy for the canal. It takes a lot of the guesswork on like what the locals are using. These guys fully are the locals. They catch fish, man, and they're absolute legends in the area. So check their website out. Really, you'll if you're coming down to the canal for a couple weeks and you don't really know what to buy, and you want to buy 1 lure or 2 lures, and you're guessing at what to get, I'm telling you, when you see this, it's already pre-selected for you, and they're 100% right. And I give you my word, they're 100% right. They're giving you the right lures to fish. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool and very personalized if you think about it. But that's my 2 cents worth about fishing local. That's the locals do that. And you get a break because you're buying bulk. You know, you're buying 5 lures, so you know that you're getting it less, you know, than normally would be. Well, it's the first real working boat I've seen coming through. Beautiful tug. Things cost probably millions, if not tens of millions. But you'd probably make that back in a year. Well, there's a hit. Look at that. Wow. Let's go. Ain't easy. There it is. Beautiful, beautiful striper.